Strange crafts streaking through our skies. UFOs from an alien world, or mysterious weapons of war. Discover the truth behind the secrets. A sharp triangular shape which tears through the sky faster than...
I think the technology for flying 6 to 12 times the speed of sound existed 30 years ago. And all that's happened in the last 30 years is that the...
8 years ago, Chris Gibson was working on an oil platform off the British coast when he saw two F-111s escorting an aerial tanker and the shape in the sky he will never forget.
Behind the tanker, near the tail, was a black triangular aircraft, the like of which I haven't seen before or since. It was almost a perfect triangle, an isosceles triangle, and very, very, very sharp. I was totally astounded. I'd never come across this before. A new experience. I didn't know what this aircraft was.
It would be hard to find a more credible witness than Chris Gibson. He was trained by Britain's Royal Observer Corps to identify any military aircraft in less than a second. In the Corps' recognition competitions, he frequently finished in the top 5.
The fact that I couldn't identify this aircraft sort of made me realise that it was something probably classified and certainly American.
Hypersonic aircraft aren't just being seen, they're also being heard. Since the early 1990s, a series of powerful sonic booms, or skyquakes, have rocked Southern California, even showing up on seismographs. Neither the Space Shuttle nor the Blackbird were flying at the time.
There have been credible eyewitness sightings of unfamiliar aircraft. You've had these so-called skyquakes in Southern California that some people think are sonic booms from these aircraft.
Funded by tens of billions of dollars, buried in the small print. The US government poured billions more into research for the development of the National Aerospace Plane, or X-30, announced in 1986 as a space shuttle replacement, which would lead to the development of hypersonic airliners. Although the Air Force pulled out of the program in 1995, John Pike believes it may have served another purpose, as a cover for the development of a secret hypersonic spy plane.
If you take a look at some of the spacecraft designs that Lockheed Martin's working on for NASA right now, I think that they bear a very strong resemblance to the sort of vehicle we think were under development in the 1980s under what a lot of people popularly call Aurora.
Today, the US Air Force is celebrating its 50th birthday by putting its latest and greatest aircraft through their paces. The venue, Nellis Air Force Base, Nevada. Just north, through these rugged hills, lies the secret Groom Lake testing area. But here, all eyes are on the latest black aircraft admitted to the public ranks of the US Air Force, the B-2 stealth bomber.
You're so fortunate to be here for the 50th anniversary of the United States Air Force.
The B-2's flying wing layout minimizes its radar reflection and gives it an alien appearance, unlike anything else in the sky.
I've been working in this program since late 81, early 82, so I've known what the airplane looked like now for 14, 15 years. The airplane was designed to have an extremely low signature from a radar standpoint, from an infrared standpoint, from a visual standpoint. It's extremely difficult to impossible to see when it's airborne, particularly high altitude. That's what we mean by stealth. The airplane doesn't emit, and it's extremely hard to see in any type of regime.
While thousands of spectators marvel at the official Air Force show, far away in the New Mexico desert, a small group of hardcore aviation enthusiasts hunt for aircraft the Pentagon won't admit exist. This is the world's biggest military air power exercise. More than 100 aircraft operating in the skies around White Sands Missile Range. And these men call themselves interceptors. Armed with radio scanners to eavesdrop on military frequencies, they search for evidence of black aircraft.
They are the next leap, the next quantum leap in aircraft, military aircraft technology. These aircraft are stealthier, faster, quieter. They're invisible on radar. They are hard to spot visually.
While the United States Air Force maintains it has no hypersonic spy planes, there's no doubt it sees a big future for stealthy, unmanned reconnaissance aircraft. Dark Star, which looks like a cross between a flying saucer and a glider, is undergoing flight tests. In service, it'll be able to pinpoint a meter-long object within almost 30,000 kilometers and beam back live pictures from altitudes of more than 13,500 meters. The US Air Force's chief scientist foresees a new generation of unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs.
I think it's certain that UAVs will be used for ground attack operations in about a decade.
Even as the US Air Force denies operating hypersonic aircraft, its Scientific Advisory Board forecasts unmanned hypersonic aircraft.
20 times the speed of sound.
Sustained hypersonic flight confronts aerospace engineers with a major challenge: building systems which can withstand the incredible heat generated by friction as the aircraft blasts its way through the...
You get shock waves when you approach and after you go faster than the speed of sound. So at Mach 5 times the speed of sound, this was designed to essentially ride or surf that shock wave.
Pilots who become riders on the shock wave would be unable to maintain control at such high speeds, which is why a computer brain must be developed to help them fly the craft. Such computerized systems could also control a new generation of propulsion systems, which allow aircraft to perform radical maneuvers.
Oh, wow. Look at that. It's 128 degrees out.
With the end of the Cold War, new clues have emerged on what may be this field's ultimate secret: the use of electrical fields to form a bubble of energy around an aircraft, reducing high-speed drag. These students at St. Louis University are testing research carried out in the former Soviet Union for a project codenamed Ajax. Since meeting a scientist assigned to Ajax, Professor Paul Ziz has tracked down scientific papers to piece together the puzzle. The energy bubble, or air spike, carves a path through the air by ripping electrons from molecules to form a plasma. This forms a cushion between the shock wave and the aircraft's skin.
The Russians have induced a cold plasma by means of a plasma torch that introduces electrons. It makes the air electrically conductive, very low energy in the front of this vehicle. And in doing so, in a mechanism that we do not yet understand or cannot calculate, the strength of the shock wave reduces in half. So the entire vehicle now flies through the air at half the drag it would have if it did not have the plasma torch here.
As well as reducing drag, this layer of electrically charged air helps propel the aircraft. Powerful magnets accelerate the charged air past the craft, generating almost half the total thrust. This futuristic propulsion is called magnetohydrodynamics, or MHD. and it could propel Ajax to incredible speeds. Since Professor Ziz began probing Ajax, the curtains of secrecy have descended again. But a few more tantalizing details have leaked out.
There are some interesting tracks out of a radar site in Sweden, about a year apart, of what I've been told have been the demonstrator flying about 12 times the speed of sound. And the second flight was a prototype flying maybe 16 times the speed of sound that flew all the way across Russia.
Magnetohydrodynamics propulsion may be the ultimate secret of the covert world, but new research conducted outside the cloak of secrecy is fast catching up. White Sands Missile Range is the home of the US rocket and missile program. Inside this remote base in the New Mexico desert, a radical flight experiment is underway. Aerospace engineer Lake Mirabeau believes the air spike is a small first step into the future of flight, where energy beams will power saucer-shaped light craft around the world in less than along highways of light. Because the light craft doesn't need to carry its own fuel supply, it will quite literally be light. Built from thin films of silicon carbide and inflated with helium for cooling, it could withstand skin temperatures of up to 2,000 degrees.
The engines of the future that can move people around the planet and into space will be electromagnetic, like magnetohydrodynamic. And for those kinds of vehicles, they'll take the power in, convert it to electricity, and then use that electricity to accelerate the atmosphere around the vehicle. But it will do other things too. It'll clean up the aerodynamics of the vehicle, reduce drag, reduce the heat transfer to the vehicle.
In just 50 years of bewildering aeronautical innovation, we've leapt from the first flimsy flying machines to the speed and power of the SR-71 Blackbird. It's hard to accept that this technical marvel from the late 1950s is the last word in high-speed jet aircraft.
What I tell the skeptics is go look at the SR-71. It was built all over the United States. There were maybe 30 suppliers that built parts and didn't know what they were building. They were only when you assembled them did you know what it was. That was the best kept secret that was out in the open.
The public face of aircraft research holds the promise of a new era in aviation. But given the amount spent on covert programs, what we're allowed to see is probably just the tip of the iceberg. Until the technical wonders of the so-called black world are unveiled, interceptors like Steve Douglas will maintain their vigil, searching the skies for a glimpse of the aircraft that are not supposed to exist.